Hey guys and girls, so in this video right here, I'm going to do a small walkthrough over CSS for those of us who don't know CSS as well. So basically we're going to walk through it as we did with the HTML one and the PHP one. We're going to walk through it on a W3 school and go through all of these components. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start here. You'll see that they give a couple examples that you're going to get in each project, each chapter. And then they walk you through some of the references and stuff along that lines, and then they have this diploma thing. You don't really need to worry about that because we're going to go over enough right here where you don't even need to have that. So just stay tuned on that part right here. So the thing we're going to really jump into is really understanding how to do inline CSS, and then how to do using a styling sheet or using the style that you put out into the actual HTML. So let's just dive straight into it. First thing we do, we're going to have our Visual Studio Code editor up over here, and then I have a file that we're going to use. So right here, and just a simple HTML file right here, and so we're going to be our base off of. So basically just have a page title, all the header information that you really need, and then it has just a body right here, which for now we're gonna use as H1, and this is where we're gonna use to practice all of our code and everything from CSS in here. And I'm gonna actually go through and actually style this a little more and separate it so it's spaced out so we can read it better. And do the same thing here. Okay. So now we have that right there. Now the next thing we're going to go through and do is go straight into the introduction. So on the introduction, there's a couple different things that's going to go through. It's going to explain what is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen, of screen paper, or any other media. CSS basically saves a lot of work and can control the layout of the multiple different web pages you have, and be able to do it from external styling sheet and store in a CSS file. We're actually going to go through and create a CSS file just right here, and let's just do save, Control S, and then in our folder right here we're going to call it css.css, and we can find the one right here and we just do that, and this will be our CSS file. So basically anything right in here will be our CSS code. So here's one of the demos of one of the HTML pages right here that you can see, and you can switch through them and you can see all the changes and everything along that lines, and you see there's a lot of stuff you can check. So if you do no style, this is no style. This is with style, this style, this style, tons of different ways you can make the page look totally different ways. And basically it's going to go through how CSS solves a big problem. Basically because most of the HTML was really never intended to contain tags for formatting a web page. It was only created to describe the content on the page, so describe what content is in there, such as from paragraphs to H1s to articles. And what CSS does, and it combines with HTML, it really allows you to be able to control the format, how the page is displayed, to create very unique and interesting pages that are very engaging with your audience. So go to the next one, syntax. So this is they break this down to a really good point right here. The CSS syntax, CSS rule set consists of a selector and a declaration block. So this is the declaration right here, and this is the selector. So basically you need to, if you're doing this in a CSS styling sheet, you come in here and let's say you want to control all H1 tags. So we have our H1 right here. Let's put in hello world. Oh, let me spell it right. And so we'll do that right there. So we have our H1. So this is the H1. And for H1s or any tags, you don't have to put anything else on it. You go in here, add the brackets, and then inside these brackets, you can change the color if you wanted to. So we can do like you can actually write the colors out too as well, for like if you want to do red, it'll do that for you. And if you want to change the font size, which has all these options right here, font size to, let's say, 40 pixels. And then too as well, let's say we want to make it align in the middle, so do text align, and we do center. Oh, make sure we spell it right. And then from here, we can go in over here, look at our HTML file to open with, and we have everything right here. And then if we want this right here to show up on this page, we'll have to use a style sheet, which we'll go into a little more later. And basically, it's just to be a link right here. So basically, you'll write out up here. And then you'll do href, and then you'll do your location of this right here. So for here, we really could just do css.css, and then that's the simplest way to do it. And we can make sure it loads. Make sure if it check and see if it loads properly. And then we have it. Oh. And it have all the stuff right here. So one thing we would need to do inside of here to make sure it's correct is we'll need to do what template it is, and basically what type of template it is, so you can get it. So this would be styling sheet, so text styling sheet CSS. So if you see right here how this didn't work right here, this shouldn't have worked. We will need to add a couple things. First, you need to add real, which is going to be styling sheet, and then the type, which is going to be text CSS. And if I was you, just remember this right here. You can copy this over, and all the thing it really needs to change is this right here. And then you come into here, and you see everything changes right there. And we have hello world right there at the very top. Okay, so let's go to a couple of different things. So CSS selectors, and this is a great way to how it breaks down right here. So if you wanted to as well, so this is the tag selector. This is a tag selector right here. And then we're gonna copy this right here, and I'm gonna copy this right here, and I'm gonna show you exactly what this is be for IDs. If you wanna grab the ID with H1 on there, this is how you would do it. If you want to create a class that you put on multiple objects, this is how you do it. So copy this again, and then we're gonna change the hashtag into a dot. And that will be how you do that. So you have basically anything that's an H1. So if we go back to here and we want to do like a paragraph, and we want it to give it an ID of H1. A div. And we will want to add in a whirl in here. Oh. So we do that there, and then we can add in here our class. And this will be H1 too. And as we load the page up, you guys to see, because it's already refreshing. So basically I have the page where it automatically refreshes every 10 seconds, as you see on here. So it'll refresh as we're writing stuff, and you have everything kind of written out right there. Now you do see that some of the boldness is not the same as right here, and when we go into the styling, we'll be able to see that we might have added the same size, the font size, but different headers and stuff give different boldness and stuff and different things along that line. So this has a font weight bold. So if we added this to, doesn't really need it on that one. If we added this to here and to here, and you just wait a couple seconds, this right here will change. and then you will see that this right here will change, and it will add them to the same thing, and they'll be basically the same now. So that's basically how you would do with those right there. Pretty simple. And all this is coming from this styling sheet. You could do it inside of there, but I don't really want to even start off doing that. It's good because eventually you're not going to be doing that, so you don't want to be starting off doing stuff you're not going to do in the future. Except if you're doing projects where you can't add a styling sheet or you can't access a styling sheet. Sometimes you would do that, and in very limited cases when you would be able to do that. So basically, as you see right here, the CSS selector are used to find or select HTML elements based on their element's name, ID, class, attributes, and more. You can do a couple different things. You do different attributes. So if they have so you like value, this right here do this right here do this. Is very intense. You can do so much stuff with CSS. Some people consider CSS as more of a styling language, which is styling and not programmable. But for CSS, you can do so much stuff on here that it is completely its own program language. And I can't even go in depth into everything on there, but we're going to try to walk through most of the stuff that's on here. So as you see, there's an ID selector, class selector. So right here is basically you can go through if you wanted to add another one, and let's say you want to do, so that's what you want. They call it H1S. So you can literally go through and you could right here, grab this, okay, here, and you can change this to blue. And also it takes hex codes too as well, if you know those, and you can look about any of those up. And if you were to go back to here, we'll save this, and then as you see, basically I changed the color to blue, left everything else the same, and you see it right there. And you see that these have spacing that this does not have. So there's something else you can look into doing, but you know, we can add spacing if you wanted to be able to even it out. So if we were to do that, we would go here, see what spacing this has. See these divs that have no spacing, no padding, and we see that these do. And basically we can go into here, these H1s, and then we add the padding into here. And you in the margin, you don't even have to do so much this. This is the WebKit version of it, but you could go through and just, you know, and we can just do that right there, and now add the padding, everything you want to do. And but if you just want to add padding to just top and bottom, you do that. So let's go over, do it to this one. And we'll see that change in a second, and you see it spaces out how it's supposed to. So we can put multiple classes in there too as well. So you got multiple classes on each element that you're working on. This works very well because this allows you to be able to style everything kind of very similar. And if you need something to be extra, you can just add an extra class for that. So if you were styling a page like this, you might want all the panels and sections like that to have this gray background right here, but you might want it to have rounded edges, and over here you might not want it to have rounded edges. You can put that on there by adding a separate class onto it. So let's go to group selectors right here. You can basically all H1s, you can make them a certain color. All H2s make a color. All paragraphs, make them a certain color. You can highlight multiple ones if you wanted to, and do it that way as well. So that works as well. So you basically could, like all of these ones that we have up here, you could make it all go into there. And then you have right here, let me add this onto the div right here. So this says any div that has this class, do this. So let's go in here, and then so this is selector, and you can do a selector in a class, and you can even do as we go through here, you're going to see you can do different elements that are already in other elements, or the different child of each element. So this is selector in class, or do a selector in ID too if you wanted to. That also could work. Let me copy that down so you can see what that would look like. Is pretty much similar, very much similar right there. and then let's change this, and you have that right there. So let's go down a little more. So it's a couple exercises you guys can test out. I recommend you guys going and actually testing these out and trying these out, and going through each exercises if you need to learn a little bit more. But if you're kind of getting the same format, basically you have a selector, then you'll go into here, as we say right here, you have a property. These are your properties, and then you'll have a value. So if I was to kind of write this out for you guys can see, it'll look something like this. So you have selector, and then you have your brackets, and then you have right here your property. So these are many properties you can look at too as well and learn what they do. Honestly, once you know how to use the properties and understand how to change and manipulate it, you can go through the list and you can find all the ones you want to do to change anything by looking it up. And then this right here, then you will close it out because you need to end it before you do another one. So at the semicolon, and then you have your the value. Put that wrong. Then you have your value. So this is basically how you will write it out right here. Your selector, your property, your value. That's how you write these out too as well. So let's go down a little more. So we have, let's go back down to right here. You have all these examples you can go through. I'll check a couple of these out so you can see, and they'll show you different things, and they'll go through exercises. They say change the color of the elements with IDs to red. Literally, we'll go in here. You can check your code right here. You do the styling. This is in styling right here. So you do turn this into ID. Oh, so you're still working with it. Automatically doing it for you. Then we do color. Oh, so we're just saving. And then it'll walk you through how to do each one of these. So it'll teach you something, then walk you through. It's a good way to learn CSS, the basic CSS. I really do believe you can go through this part right here, but your biggest thing, and the reason why we've been doing this whole course, is that you need to be able to work with going through and doing this using projects that you actually build. This is a good way to learn a little bit, and you're going to really learn when you actually go through the projects. So I would really recommend going through this and trying it out, but really just taking this right here to build a base knowledge so you can understand it when you see it, and then going through and then and using this in your projects. So this is saying color, change the color of all elements. So this is set to red again. And you can change those. And basically go through those one by one and go through all of those. Let's go back to our next section, how to. So there are 3 ways to insert CSS. You have an in-style styling sheet, which is this, as you see right here. So you have the in-style styling sheet right here. You have it too as well where you do an internal styling sheet, and this would be something inside the header. And basically it will be just styles. And then you put any of the stuff you want to inside of here. Or if you needed to, you can go through here. And then let's do H1. And then you can do inline style, which is this. And you put your style there. So literally you can go through here and say we want to do this one. Yeah. So I'm just going to use this right here to put it all in one line. And then we went through here. And that'd be all our styling right there. Put it inside the style. Then we go back over to here. We will see that in a couple seconds or so. This right here will update and a new one will come up right here. And it has all the same style except it's inline style as well. And the same thing if you do the if we were to move this one, save this. and it should not be here. As you see, it's right here. In a couple of seconds, it's right here. It's going to change. Right there. And you can do that too. So if you wanted to go into here, set another one, change this to ID, and then basically we have 6 of these up here, and then you're going to see it pop over here in a second because we have it refreshing. Let's actually pull it the first time. We have it right there. And you see if we were to comment this out, we would not want to be a good thing that's coming out, but if we were to comment all of this out, there'll be nothing. You see it'll go back over here, and you bring it back and it'll be fine, and then you'll see that it'll go back right here. And see, so this is how you do it on a styling sheet, similar to how we did it right here. You need to actually go through here, and you need to check and see, make sure you have the real as styling sheet. Because you see when we first put it in here, when you don't have this, it doesn't work. It'll link to it, and you have your location, and you need to make sure you have your path down, and then you need to do your type CSS. And so make sure you don't, and also too, make sure you, like as it says right here, do not add do not add space between the property values. It needs to use this dash. Because that's how it figures out how to do it. So make sure you use dashes and not what you call it. So let's go back in here. Let's go into our style sheet right here, and then we're gonna do top this over for a second. And this is another color right here. You can change the background to as well. And then different things right here, inline, multiple styling sheets. You can import multiple styling sheets. So if some properties have been defined in the same selected element in different style sheet, the value from the last red styling sheet will be used. So that means basically if we had one of these, this one, and we had another one underneath it, doesn't matter what this one had in there. If both of them had body tags and background colors, it will use the one that is imported last and red last, which should be the one down the list the further. So you have one down here, it would be that one. So it's a really good thing to make sure you guys are putting these in the order that you want them to be classified and stuff like that. Because that could be a big problem. You could be changing this styling sheet, you wonder why the background won't change. It's because this one down here is using this one. So cascading order. What styles will be used when there is more than one style specifically in HTML? So generally speaking, we can say that all styles will cascade into a new virtual style sheet by the following rules, where number one has the highest priority. So if you are writing on something and you cannot get the styling sheet, and you cannot write into styling sheet, the best way to do it, if you can do something inline, stuff inline will overwrite any other changes. So as you've seen that this is the H1, this is the H1. We'll go out here. You see this one is blue, and this one is red. This will overwrite any other changes besides like important, if you don't have important on this one. And then basically external. So the external one will be next, and then the external one will be next, and then the internal one, which will be this one. So external, as you see right here, and then our internal one. This is basically embedded into there. And then, like I said before, tons of exercises for you to walk through.